做，只是真的都没杀到。 下一场是谁跟谁？义乌单线技巧还是比较好一点，大概光单线就可以赢到快3K 的差距。西红小丑不看，下一场可以果断放弃。干南京剑跟他妈西贡打，哭了。看两个不同层次的队伍。哦，这个大夫，靠腰，没事 ，hold 住了。南京剑，南京剑打 EU 可以看。 要爆炸啦！干，不小心动到麦，稍微动一下线，它声音会跳很多。推完上。
Clearing that one out. Have a look at Iron Beautify. I mean, how's he stacking up? He's gone bloodthirster. Bottom lane, they're actually going really aggressive. Yeah, very aggressive. Crescendo goes across. You can see that's going to be Crepo going down. Can they turn this into a couple of kills? So Yellow Pete, the exhaust is about to run out. He's got the turret damage as well. You can see Snoopy's going to have his twisted bounce back available in a moment. The cooldown, no! Scar has flashed out of it. I think he's going to go away. Remember, Snoopy just used his flash in that top lane, so he's not going to be able to pursue anymore. They were all going for that tower, and then just at the snap of their fingers decided to dive past it. Knew how weak and slow Crepo was because of not having boots at the time of that gank. Able to take the 3-3 kills, they'll be able to get that tower later. They're doing a pretty good job forcing the right kind of engagements here. Yeah, but right now, we talked about it in the past.
今天我打后期哦。酒桶到底为什么要住下路啊？这到底在坚持什么？这个吃兵很明显没有。 这吃兵很明显没有什么优势了，还在那边死不换呢？为什么？怎么可能压得住？了不起让你把线推掉，把塔推掉吧。但是你 Tarik 又一直不在中。 能做的事有限啊，靠腰你就不能洗兵美，你线推过来干他一下就 AP 一下就洗掉了。这个中二流有点失败。对啊，这不算是中二流，不传统中二流。是压不住啊，线太短了，你晕不到人啊。他就吃一点。你 Tarik 要压住他那个晕，你一定会过河道。这个 jungle 一来，你会他妈吃屎，所以基本上办不到这种事情。你视野不满也一样。干，这个态势就是一脸他妈要打进后期的感觉了。DG 并没有什么特别亮眼的表现。
Star was off getting the blue buff, so they're really just going to take this. Dignitas is going to try to counter by taking the tower. Yeah, they're just going to counter it, take the turret. Froggen's just going to cut it off. Actually, an attempt at steal there didn't quite work out. Maokai picks it up, so that's Snoopy closing it out, and that will be a straight trade there. That's really not bad for either team.
哦，这是哪招？艾瑞利亚是否有点冲动？酒桶救了艾瑞利亚。干斩首剑。 不过想要跳第二下失败了，应该早点斩首了。哇，这样2换2还好，吃7条龙还2换2，对 COG 来说是一个还蛮不错的结果。TPA 第2组要跟哪队打？ 想一下，来预测一下第2组会是谁进。B 组我猜是 COG 跟南京剑吧。D 局我看没什么机会。 西控小丑他妈是送分队，我不解释。哎，第4队是谁啊 ？B 组的第4队是哪一队？还有 DG、EU、南京剑啊，小草对僵尸队。屁啦，明明都有4队不是吗？西控小什么队伍啊？他们可是打败那个新加坡的黑马。9000，什么意思？有赢剑8强不止9000吧？我记得 TPA 就拿不止9000。干你敢信他妈的？区域代表他妈抽个签就有钱拿，几巴。新加坡，听说超级联赛他们战绩不亚于那个 TPA， 而且很奇怪的是西控小丑这个介绍居然也说他是 GGC 养的队伍，干 GGC 跑去养国外战队。那也是很奇怪的一件事情。A 组2个亚洲队啊，阿祖古跟那个IG 啊，阿祖古全胜晋级。IG 2胜1负。TPA 干赌 TPA 居然也只有300，我蛮惊讶的。TPA 他妈应该算是冷门队伍了，也只拿300，只能说大家都颇爱国。GGC 真有钱，养一堆莫名其妙的队伍。真的 IG 抽到 M5的时候，干脸都绿了。M5。Lz 笑了。心想干，真的假的？他妈的，好不容易晋级，马上就抽签王。好不容易晋级再说。不过 IG 这群小组拳赛打来也只有南京剑比较难打，其他队伍好像比较没有什么5波表现，也算是一路压了。只能说 CLG 已经老了，不懂，无法打出 CLG EU 这种感觉了。单线作战都不太行，只能打战术。不过这游戏打战术有打战术的好处，只是他们单线真的是不行啊。最后一场打打苏普，前面有些优势的没有打好。真的，想当年 NA 还在看 EU 比赛笑双多兰盲斗，多兰盾双持之术，靠腰哭了。啊干，这个巴龙你开了，他妈就哭，就等着哭死吧。曾经有过一次忘记打什么比赛，那时候就有开实况，那时候 NA 的人都有开实况，然后他们就看 EU 在打比赛，还一边讨论他们打得怎么样，然后一边在那边笑嘻嘻的。那时候 EU 才刚被签没多久。好像是欧洲杯没有错，那时候 M5都还没出现。SK 更烂，不晓得。我觉得 Double Lift 差不多该转队了，他的黄金期也快过了。如果不想变得跟 GG 一样，可是 GG 不同 ，GG 拿过冠军了，你 Double Lift 还没有，赶快找一队有前途的队伍加进去。 不要虚度光阴啊！这 NA 一脸就是没有机会打第3季了，再待下去，靠腰，整个电击生涯都在CLG NA 度过了。干 CRS 他妈根本是 CLG 回收桶，万万不要，万万不得！老元素也还在那边。我觉得 Double Lift 还不错啊，该转是时候转队就转队吧。你留在 NA 真的没有什么机会打第3季啊。NA GG 打 A 组循环赛的时候，中路就打得不是很好啊。最后一场打南京舰，他中路也是一直放枪啊，一直失误被杀、啊，一些奇怪的判断跟交换都还蛮惨的，导致前期的那个优势没有发挥出来，被人家反打，蛮痛苦的。我觉得中路也要换，你现在只换 Jungle 也救不也，现在 NA 就跟一滩死水一样，不会流动的死水。你要换，起码换2、3个人以上，你只换一个，整个队伍基本上不会变动太多。现在 CLG NA 状况绝对不是说你换一个 Jungle， 你整个队会比较顺。其实我们可以看出来 ，GG 真的中路没有以前那种压制跟牵制力了。Boy 我觉得他还年轻，还可以再拼，而且他为了队伍做很多牺牲，他这几场靠腰全部都为了战术配合、战术上，然后去带一个传送，然后每次帮下都拿不到什么好处，等于说他带了一个他几乎不会用到的 spell 哦。然后他在单线作战上又没有办法这样子发挥出他的强项，因为你少一招。可是你看，像 CLGU 他们 weak 选面角，干他带点燃跟闪现打单路起来多顺，也不用去配合，暂时也不用去配合一些比较特别的战术执行，可以完全发挥出自己的优势。可是 NA 真的没有办法 ，NA 做不到这些事情。NA 就是因为单线不好，所以才想要尽量又靠一些战术来取得胜利，这个是很明显可以看出来的。Once Cosmo gets that Infinity Edge, Yellow King is going to be obliterating people coming through to him. And Skara actually hasn't been able to get that much out of this. He's 100 minion kills behind Froggen, still only with that Deathfire Grasp. 我是不晓得为什么他需要踢走 SP 啊？难道是因为 Voidboy 进来，然后为了补位问题，干他就选择下放 SP 进 CRS， 还蛮怪的。他可能不想退幕后，至少也不会爆。老实讲会，国际赛程度，你看。上一场就是上一场而已，他们打，上场，他们跟阿苏布打，那时候 JJ 拿双 buff 一颗头，手杀的优势下，他还是做了一些很奇怪交换，然后输给了那个死哥，然后连续2次吧。一次是被那个有看到，还去跟那个死哥做交换，然后被毛凯抓；一次是去支援路上没有做好视野，然后被蛇女从后面追尾，然后贾克斯跳过来杀。然后那2次失误就接着团队整个团战都打不起来，然后优势就全部都送掉了。SB 会吵架。啊，15跟南京舰不同队啊。看我刚刚口误讲错吗？可是那时候我记得他们 CLG NA 最后决定不是就是让 SV 当队长吗？靠腰，他们那时候到队伍中期的时候有吵过一件事情，就是每个人都觉得自己是队长，然后后来他们最后决定，然后看这个抓 Kokomo 哭了，他们最后决定队长是 SD 啊，干蛇女跟那个龙女打 Kokomo 打到快死，你敢信？宿醉换扣，巴龙。 太冲动了啊！你达瑞斯脚闪现这个一抓，不是没有秒掉寇格蒙，你会战就输了。龙女输出没有想象中那么强，追着寇格蒙打也秒不掉他，没有发挥出伤害。寇格蒙没有红也能风筝了，也蛮神奇的。脑残乱抠。然后比赛乱打，干当队长总是太兴奋没想到这么快就被下放到 CRS， 老元素跟他相见欢，所以我跟你说 ，Double Lift 想要再往上一层楼，也不是往 CRS 钻了。Look at the Iron Solari being picked up by Crepo now, so Crepo Green forever the support and really helping out. Let's just check out a replay and honestly just take us through what exactly happened in that replay. 闪现拉人，闪走，然后达瑞斯就跳舞去了，然后凯一直做前置，然后跳走，然后达瑞斯晃了好一阵子，找不到目标。你看，球女来说，佛根就打得不错，输出也好高啊。CRS 有点疯疯的说，西米确实不错啦，可是我觉得西米也慢慢的有点在走下坡了。他也是从第一期打到现在的一名选手。西米在走下坡了，他也是打很久了。Support 干 Support 不是老元素吗？要一直中指。If they see Sube coming around, they're either going to try to peel or just run straight away. COG, you could honestly dive straight on top of this because Wicked still has his G up, and yep, Dignitas has to back away. 真的很激烈吗？你还要打赢老牌 TSN 啊！靠，你要知道 CRS 他妈连 COG NA 都没有拿下，所以没有晋级 S2 Guess you could say of Dignitas impatience, Crepo just helping out, putting the speed down, throwing a sapling at the red buff. Red buff being exchanged. Look at this, Wicked actually building a BF sword on top of his Guardian Angel. Normally he'd go with something much tankier than that. 当时跟 CLG NA 双雄啊，当时是世界双雄，现在是北美双雄。Not working out for Dignitas, so he's able to get that BF sword and just do more damage. Do you think he's going to go for Bloodthirster? I'm guessing that's what he's doing. I remember seeing Lz with Bloodthirster before. He could very well do Bloodthirster Aurelia because he's got very generous AD ratios on his ultimate, in all honesty, and just pumping that out during a fight. High effective health. That's just your armored magic resist multiplied with your health. 老说上路走 AP 型真的比较少，吸血鬼。吸血鬼这只角色太容易被 counter 了，也不是很好场出的角色，多半比赛不容易看见他。有第6人，每一队都有补到6个人，不是吗？应该说每一队应该都有替补球员吧？虽然多养第6个人比较不实际一点。因为练习最多就是5个人上，不可能说这场练完你换下一个上，这样很没有效益啊！一定会放一个在那边蹲板凳，然后练习量来说会跟不上其他人，而且他们这样练习很麻烦。一个只能5个人玩的游戏，他妈的硬要你塞第6个人，虽然这个是保险起见，但是练习上就是不方便。GBA 都养7个了，你看7个，另外2个到底平常都在干嘛？比赛的时候真的也轮得到他们上吗？一定都是你练习比较常练习那5个上啊。你另外2个真的紧急时刻，你真的觉得会派出来当秘密武器？靠腰，你真的当是樱木真的当在培养樱木啊？这个大夫感觉有点冲动，不过有8龙 buff， 干什么冲动都是骗人的。干，扣个魔吐好远。
right now. Yellow Pete just picking up the kills left, right, and center, and COG EU taking that first inhibitor. And again, it was Dignitas that actually initiated that fight.
什么是冲动？我哭了。哦，这个直接投降。第局哇，靠腰第局真的是一脸不进，没有机会，没有什么机会晋级的感觉。好不容易以北美第一的资格打到 S2， 却被 EU 打成这样，他需要在台下笑了。干，还好当初真的有签下来。白云一脸茫然，是不是在吵架？ 两个去了，干，真的紧急时刻，真的好，真的让你打到 N5了。干，你派 ABC 上还是派 Toys 上？你让 Mistake 上还是可乐林上？这个问题，这不是很浅显易见吗？真的要吃7人，真的要7个人干嘛？平常练习你们不会上，真正打大重要比赛，干你们也不会上啊！妈的，大概就打西贡小丑，说让你们上来暖暖身这样子吧。 北美第一是谁 ？COGNA 那时候是北美第一吗？干，第一不是 DG 吗？ 哦，第一是 TSN 啊，对，北美取3队，靠腰。忘记还有 TSN。
Of course, and you know, Saigon Jokers and Najin Sword both in their teams not to be messed with, both getting here on the merits, and Najin Sword
Mistake 稳归稳，但是
how much they've improved
以一个应变能力或是进攻性那些全面性的能力来说，有些能力上 BB 还是比较好一点。胖虎队长。
I mean, we've seen Azubu Frost in the first standing, and now we have this group with Najin Sword, who's just as strong. Let's take a look at the standings in this group really quickly, and we have, you know, really quick, COG EU10.
感学韩国队养2队，干人家那个练习量，好不容易养了2队，第2队还不能打嘞，靠腰 TPA， 就凭 TPA 他妈打 GPL 这种联赛，你也想要养2队？我看很拼哦。
Two of them have already been made. It is a Teemo buy apparently. It is Azubu Frost versus Team Solo Mid. That is one of the quarterfinals drawn. I'm not too sure. You'd have to check out what stage these are going to be played tomorrow. Check out the schedule. They will come up later on. And it is also Moscow 5 versus Invictus Gaming. Two incredibly huge games already, which means Moscow 5 and TSM are going to be split. But we're
敢西贡到时候回来打 GPL， 再也没有人敢笑小丑了。小丑表示他妈 S2 门票我可以哦，赶你们剩下其他人了。虽然小丑大概无人晋级第2了，一点他妈就是给人家洗分数的取暖队。
On top of all the other advantages they had snowballed throughout that entire game of patience. 4-0 roll through Dignitas at that point. That was a last stand for Dignitas. Probably a good fight for them to take overall, but they were just too far behind.
Because we talked about the Black Cleaver on Aurelia as well, you know, on Wicked had, it was just a case of there was 3 major damage dealers by the end of that. I mean, which one did you focus on? Did you focus on Wicked? He had got a Guardian Angels and Trinity Force and the Black Cleaver diving on you. You got Yellow Pete in there, who was just shredding you apart, and you got Oriana in there. You know, Froggen was just farming machine. He was 300 plus CS by the end of that. He had just got so much AP. So which one would you focus on? I mean,
问题是就多养没有意义啊。台湾名额就只会拿1队吧？干，台湾区要拿2队，看我懂。
It's probably a champion that I might want to play myself. So he picked it up, obviously, because he was crushing in that game with it. Great ults the whole time, great position, really, really strong play.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Anivia's been banned against him so often, he's just opened up his...
You can't play Anivia anymore. He can't consider Anivia one of his champions in a lot of scenarios because it gets banned so much.
Which is, you know, I think he's fine with that. He talked to us enough times. He wanted the champion nerfed, so he didn't play it. Instead, it's just going to get banned instead, so he's just going to get some free reign on other champions. So it looks like Oriana is the new ban you need to aim at Froggen.
Potentially, but then where do you stop, right? There's been tournaments where they spend 2 or 3 bans on Froggen, and he just brings out another guy. So it's pretty much you have to predict what he picks and then try to counter him with something.
Yeah, so coming up it is going to be Najin Sword taking on the Saigon Jokers. I believe the
他的姿势好怪，
is
木
in
头
the
哎。
house, or he was earlier on, which is, incredible in itself. We'll be back in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. More League of Legends action will be coming
史
straight up.
迪，你敢信？
Nice rear shot.
烟雾太强了，他的强真的是世界公认的强。我懂，你 IG 抽到一个死签，运气不好。奇怪，我内力到底是怎么到999的、啊？我到底干了什么事情啊？我不是很清楚。没有我现在在练那个啊，九阴真经。 这是你的江湖。靠腰拍不掉就是拍不掉。干，居然九阴真的再练下去什么都不会加了。七星大法效果是不是跟那个北冥一样啊？ 真的干九阴也是那个练身法的，不会列在那个物表那个里面。靠腰，继续练北冥。七星效果是什么、啊？谁练过？有附加毒伤，北冥比较强，是哦。 靠腰，西星也算是绝世武功，北冥倒是有点像是中阶武功那种感觉。干，有人说十大善人之首是周伯通，干十大善人之首不是郭靖吗？我才想到这个问题。
Unfortunately, we haven't had a trip.
什么都有。
It's a new team.
靠腰，手不是只能有一个人吗？所谓的之首，不就是第一、唯一的意思吗？然后重阳感觉他妈也不是什么家伙。干，说真的，他妈的张无忌跟我练这么久，九阳只有5等，真的是很怀疑。 他妈的，你是不是每天打手枪才练这么慢呢？你他妈怎么会学这么慢才会5等啊？你到底学冲啥？
Introducing our first team, the blue team, the winners of the Korean Regional Final and finishing 3rd at the OGN Azubu Champions Summer Tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Najin Sword!
Najin Sword.
In the jungle, give it up for Watch.
The AP carry, Song.
Song.
In the top lane, Maknoon.
真的往食物面想，干你选其他，可是1毛钱都拿不到。
And rounding out the 5-man team as an AD carry, give it up for Prey.
放心啊。 烟雾怎么想几率都是最大的，我他妈对烟雾有信心。屁啦，无忌不是他妈也是练武奇才，在座的各位哪一个不是小说主角？操！ 干，你跟我说你支持第一，你想骗谁？任务表示有长招。
On support, we have Junie.
Support the AD carry, Archie.
你他妈每天打手枪就讲。
In the jungle, it's Violent.
The AP carry, we've got Nyx Water.
And rounding out the top lane, it's QTV.
And of course, to bring you every step.
西贡小丑哭了，不是很想看。这一场用听的就好，我不会特别去转它，大家听听就好。
Yeah, thank you very much, DJ Wheat and Rachel. And wow, this game is one that nobody expected to happen. Both teams coming into this one as the underdog. Najin Sword beating out heavily favored Azubu Blaze. Honestly, after the MLG Summer Arena, I had them as a nailed-on visitor for this tournament. And of course, the Saigon Jokers coming through.
还有什么任务或剧情还没解答
Everybody had Singapore Sentinels qualifying that one at Vietnam, but well, Saigon Jokers, they turned up a new result. And honestly,
真的网务实面想有东西拿还是比较好。
ever in the Garena Premier League. They came out
哦，原来是因为九阳神棍有冲内力，我看懂了，因为有练九阳。 某个人练到5等，每天打手枪练到5等也是那个了，也是有700多内力。
A lot of this could be Najin's sword big reveal to a lot of these people because even for people who followed OGN, if they didn't follow the regionals afterwards for the final qualifying spot, they don't know that much about Macnoon's team and Najin's sword. That team was actually made for Macnoon. He was on
不晓得还有什么招可以练。葵花也是练内力啊，九阴也是，而且能力都不会再跳了。感我已经世界强了，我不知道还能再从哪里下手。 也没有比野球拳更强的拳法。我认为呢，野球拳才是世界上最强的拳法。其他什么九阴真经啊，什么玄铁剑法，什么独孤九剑，他妈都是骗人的。没课，下午啊，不去了。这位是全真派主将王重阳。
Unfortunately, we've spoken to them, and they are not that confident themselves, which is a danger coming into a big tournament like this.
他一拳可是有几磅来着，不晓得，忘了。
Their team fighting is not that good right now, and we actually have a video here which has them.
想练啥就练啥嘞，这好像是原版没有错吧
？11 countries covering nearly 2 million miles are represented by just 2 teams here at the Season 2 World Championship. In front of a massive crowd, the Taipei Assassins fought through a 100-team tournament to face Hong Kong's Corsair in the Taiwan region.
可是改版其实大同小异吧，会差到哪？他妈的，不能练野球拳就不太想玩了，反正东西都不会差到哪去。
Vietnam, the Southeast Asia regionals. The heavily favored Singapore Sentinels look to be on their way to Los Angeles after knocking the Saigon Jokers down to the losers bracket. But not going down without a fight, the Saigon Jokers made their way to the finals, setting up a rematch against the Singapore Sentinels. Behind the support of their home crowd, the Saigon Jokers
其他地方应该就是不会改太多。
Taipei Assassins and Saigon Jokers are now poised to take
这跟当年的王者 J4 有点像，这只角色有点像是其他只角色。他着地了说，真娜一直都是飞起来的说。
They've now come over here on a 2-week trip to Los Angeles with a chance of winning $1 million. That would mean a hell of a lot to them. Certainly at home, you may have also seen them. There's a video online that Garana have done. It's got all their just like we saw with Singapore Sentinels when they went to the IPL face-off. You know, just saying, you know, wishing them luck. You know, they've got the pressure off them, I guess you could say.
比赛不好出啊。
Even themselves, they don't expect to do well, so they should be able to play.
现在大家爱的都是攻击型的 support， 雷欧娜啊 ，Tarik 啊，甚至是拉克斯出场率都比他高。
said the Saigon Jokers don't have necessary faith in themselves. Their team fighting is a little
搞
weak.
你妹啊！
Najin
还不
Sword
就是直接
is
暴力
potentially
平的
one
在
of
那
the
边改，
best teams in the world, as respected by their
是
peers.
能多
They
高？
play what's comfortable, they'll be
是
pretty
能多
solid.
难？
Yeah,
干
indeed.
把
And,
招
you know,
伤害
you
改地
talked
当然
about
难
the。team had been modeled around him. They need to follow what Mac Noon does.
And that was the big problem when Mac Noon was on
写
Najin's
987
field,
嘞，
is he would dive in and everyone would be like, oh, I didn't expect you to do that, and he'd just die. But now that he's on shield or sword, everyone just goes in with him. So if they follow him, they'll be sick.
Yeah, and they need to be ready to adapt because we're not sure ourselves what Saigon Jokers are going to throw out there. They had a few little crazy things in the qualifiers, in the finals.
干这只是哪只啊？傻小，有点像男的。
They like things like luck support.
其他游戏的人物跑出来了。
They've
Which
done
we've seen
double
already
mid.
this
They did
tournament.
double mid in the actual qualifier to get here. So it's all about Najin Sword adapting to what they do.
虽然我没有在玩
and
雷
just
文
being
的，
ready for anything because
但起码这个 skin 看起来有诚
Yeah,
意
so。that's what Najin
这个
Sword are
是
going to do. Let's see
探
what
双之
Saigon
剑嘛
Jokers are going to do to continue their run here.
双之哀
They've
伤
got to hold that momentum going.
it's really that. It's just a matter of you just won the most unexpected tournament that anyone was there. Everyone in Vietnam was super thrilled that they were able to come from almost nowhere. All they've done is play online tournaments before that final, and
They
now
were,
they're
they
in
were
the
14-14
World
before they
Championships.
got there. So, you know, they won 14, lost 14.
干这东西你要拿来卖
They qualified
910，
for
他妈
World
去现场
Champions,
可以
so
拿到
they
东
just
西，
really need to
哭
embrace the fact
了
that。they're underdogs, keep the momentum going.
可是
They can
你
do
哎
almost，whatever
可
they
是
want.
他
And
这
if
个
they
也不是
embrace
台
underdog,
版
they're
的
gonna，be able to throw
你去
sword
现场
off
拿
of
也
their
是拿
game.
美版的，你又
Something
不能拿
crazy.
来台版
You
试
have
装。
nothing to lose. No one
987，
expected
我
you to
声明好像有默默在提升呢，难道北冥也有那
It's
个
quite
吗？
fine, honestly, because even themselves can embrace that fact, and if they do something crazy and they move on, they're going to surprise everyone, and it's going to be something they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and they've got that factor
北
that
冥
you
有
know,
加
both
生命
teams
哦。
are fairly new. I mean, Saigon Jokers
干
have come across
LOL
from,
就是一堆
previous
凯
of
子
the
的，
games,
不意
and
外
they've。sort of merged themselves
一堆
together
傻
for
逼。
League of Legends. You've got Najin Sword that have come together. I think it was like
我
a
早就
within
不
a
相信
week of
skin 了
OGN Summer Championships. The qualifiers, the
干
pre-qualifiers.
想想 easy，他
他
妈一堆人有那个有910 skin，然后嘞他妈就是雷，哭了。
Now we look back at it, but before we saw Dignitas and we're like, oh, you know, they got knocked out in
玉
the
里
group
剑
stage.
法
Everybody
久等
was, you know, dumping on them. It turns out they had a Zubu Frost and Najin Sword in their group stage. You know, that's
去
not
过
too
任务
bad.
吧。
And an incredible miracle, if I remember rightly.
Right.
Actually,
田哥还在啊
it，was ROMG.
You are correct.
Yeah.
去找旅馆休
But,
息。
you know, I mean,
现在要干嘛？
coming into this one, you know, we've seen it already with the Zubu Frost. The Korean teams are drilled with this TV-style setup. You know, they are ready, prepared for it. I don't know whether they came in and asked for makeup earlier, like
Right.
the Zubu Frost did. They were really ready. I was so impressed by their professionalism from a Zubu Frost. And Najin Sword, you know, I think they're going to be the same. I saw them up there, so they've been asking for makeup. A lot of these teams, you know, they
金
won't want to
花
go near
活
makeup.
泼，
Well, the-
我哪
I'm
知道
going to
金
let you
打
in a
打
secret,
OGN.
guys. We have to wear makeup now and again for
Fortunately.
these things. You know, we have all these lights on us and the sun and etc. But the Korean teams are so prepared for this TV-style tournament. How Saigon Joker's going to be prepared for it?
And that's the thing, because Saigon Jokers, the only online event
Saigon
they've ever
Joker.
had was the qualifier to actually arrive here.
我
So
想要先找旅馆补
they
血
need。to just not be nervous. Hopefully they're not nervous now. They do have the noise canceling headsets on. They need to focus and just pretend that it's an offline event, that they're just playing.
旅馆我记得这附近有一家，怎么他妈不见了？
Don't necessarily think of the huge stakes that are online. Just play for fun.
Just don't think of the
Right.
huge
That's
crowd
it.
in front of you.
It's not there.
Yeah, the
It's gone.
TV cameras. Each little desk has got a camera on it. Just ignore all that.
我记得确实好像有过
Easier
金
said
银岛
than
这个
done,
地方
that's
吧
for？ sure. I mean, how, from you as a player, how would you shut that out? I mean, how would you just tunnel vision yourself and focus on the game?
The biggest thing is hopefully these guys have pulled onto this, but LAN experience is a really big moment.
Yeah.
TSM, it's the difference
比
between
赛
some of
在
the
打
top
B 组第二
teams
场
and，some of the other ones who just went online.
干
You
100
have to save
靠
your
腰好
settings.
贵
You can
哦
go。in, it's like a game
不过还要
CMG
老
file,
子
you
有
load it
钱
on, you bring your USB drive, you make sure you bring the same mouse, get the same keyboard, try to set your desk to the right height
金
so you're
重
not
岛
off.
不是，
You also got to try to warm
现
up
在
on
到底
the
要去
speakers.
哪
I see some guys, they go through kind of keystroke practicing. I was watching
我
Patorial
现在要解令狐
today,
冲的剧情，
and
可他没有给我
he just
线索，
spams
我不知
all
道
his
怎么解
keys,
下
his
去。
1, 2, 3, 4, his F keys, his tab screen, all those things, just to get a flow and get used to your keyboard.
丐
So
帮
much
也
of it is just
破了，
preparation and making it comfortable. Because the last thing you want to do
去
is
拿
have a
七
mouse
星
that's
大
the
法
wrong
那些的，
sensitivity,
还有
have a keyboard where you hit the wrong key and have it cost you the game. And that happens way more than you'd expect at those
Yeah.
events
그래서
like
그게
MO2
장사하셔.
where 12 teams come in and they don't have any LAN experience.
Absolutely, and you know, you've got to get the right drivers. You've got to make sure you've got everything prepared that you can just possibly every possible little thing that could go wrong. You've just got to imagine it is going to go wrong. And
泰山
And it's been just such a crazy day of League of Legends. On top of all this, we can do a quick
泰山好像也在这
we
附
could
近。
do. I mean, there's been some crazy games. We've already had
田哥还在队伍里啊，干嘛？
actually 7 games already today of the 12. Well, we say 12. If we get some crazy playoff situation, we could be here till very early hours of the morning. We're hoping it's just 12 right now.
We could have 25 hours of League of Legends today if possible.
泰山在哪
Let's hope it doesn't go on quite that long. It's been a long day for some of us. So, I mean, earlier on today, we saw the very first game of the day, Azubu Frost versus IG. Both the teams that qualified, and honestly, it met the hype because it was a crazy, crazy match.
It was one of the best matches we've had. I mean, from an excitement standpoint, I have to say the CLG NA versus SK game was an absolutely insane ending.
But it was okay. It was 30 minutes of boredom, and then it just went boom.
It was worth it. I'm ready to say that.
Worth it.
Unfortunately for them, they haven't made it on out of the group stage, but that game in particular, if anyone wants to check out the VOD of even just the ending of that game, do it. Because base race, promoted minions, just
it had everything. It had everything tucked away in there. And also, you know, we had some fantastic matches, CLG earlier on as well versus IG. Actually turned out to be really dominant form.
IG really impressed in that group. Even the very first game against Azubu Frost, as you were touching on earlier when I decided to just jump off on a tangent, they gave Frost pretty much everything that the Korean metagame perceives as the best.
They're definitely the closest.
Everything they wanted. Ezreal, just Shen on top of that if they wanted it, and they came out with their own strategy. They played Jarvan.
蝴蝶谷在哪里？
Those aren't
我也找不到台湾。
popular picks, and they were taking it to them for a lot of that.
And we saw Evelyn ban. Very first game of the day.
Was gone. They banned a Lux against. I'm trying to go too far back. Lux against IG, I believe. No, they banned Lux against.
They banned Lux against the Azubu Frost as well, and we found out why.
我才刚离开，大概刚说。
Managed to get to play it later on.
这玩笑开真大。
You know, we talked about the players. Who would you really pick for one of the superstars so far of this tournament? I mean, that's. I know I'm asking a lot there, but you've got to be thinking obviously Azubu Frost or IG. You would have thought.
I'm going to give two. One from each of the teams that qualified on. So from. I have the two. I'm going to get there. The Singed player from the IG
Shy.
Sorry. From Azubu Frost. Absolutely dominated that game against SK.
2v1 in it.
His just top lane was so impressive. He completely controlled the map and just showed how you were supposed to play Singed. He pulled everything to him on that map and really just gave a clinic on how you can take over a game as a top laner without ever leaving your lane. He didn't have to roam. He didn't have to do anything like that. When you look over at IG, I do have to give it to PD.
刚刚丐帮上面是河哎，靠腰。
Even his Jarvan play, just the aggression, and you can tell when they're playing, just with the way they communicate with each other. He's the leader of that team, so I kind of have to give it to him.
Okay, so, well, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we are going to get ready to go. So let's get in towards Champion Select. It is going to be Najin Sword versus Saigon Jokers, and immediately the bans coming in. And, you know, this is something we've seen for a lot from the Asian teams. Twisted Fate banned out straight away.
That's just quickly done. They don't want Saigon Jokers to get anything creative. They know also Saigon Jokers loves to go for early game compositions, and a lot of that can be focused around what these bans are giving. Twisted Fate and Lee Sin. TF gets the early lane ganks. Lee Sin also early lane ganks. Looks like Najin Sword is just trying to play.
刚刚那群山，那不是绝情谷吗
？Disrupt them the most, and really, like we said earlier, just trying to keep it comfortable.
Yeah, now I recall Song did play Evelyn in one of those matches in the final, actually, the regional finals in Korea. He played a very good Evelyn, so you know that's a fully justified ban. You know, you people at home may be thinking of solo queue, just thinking, what is he doing? This is now a justifiable ban. These Alistair also being taken out. Alistair pretty much a common ban in Korea, so I'm not surprised to see that one go down. Sivir did surprise me a little bit. I'm trying to think of whether praise that strong on Sivir. I guess maybe there's something in there that Saigon Jokers have definitely rehearsed on this one. They've all been up practicing throughout the last 2 or 3 days. I think I saw them in the Riot offices. They were in the PC Bang practicing alongside Taipei Assassins, actually, wasn't it? For a while.
And they also scrimming up against SK up earlier. Now that SK, they were winning some of those scrims, so they're not a slouch, actually. Saigon Jokers, despite not having faith in themselves, can win a lot of these games. MacDoom with that first pick, Jace. He loves Jace, and there's something he does on Jace that is... I need to explain this. Is actually really cool.
Oh, go for
the acceleration gate into the shock blast. What a lot of players do is they'll shoot the shock blast, and it'll go out, and then they'll hit it through the gate, and that's when it speeds up the missile. But when MacDoom does it, he'll put the gate right at the origin of a shock blast, so it goes fast the whole time. The reason that's so difficult is because you have to click really close to yourself to aim something really far away, so your variance goes way up.
Right.
But when he does that, the missile gets there faster, it's harder to dodge, and because he's so good at it, it's still really accurate. Just watch pro.
I love these pro players. They pull out things and I'm just like, wow. What happened? But Shen and Ezreal being picked up, so immediately they've got that support. Is this going to be a Shen jungle? I would guess so. Ezreal down that bottom lane. Well, I say bottom lane, like we'd mentioned, there was a Lux down the bottom lane, but it was more of a reactionary move towards Singapore Sentinels.
It could be, but also, Saigon Jokers has been known to run 2 people mid, so that Ezreal could very well go mid.
I remember seeing an interview from Watch here saying he wants to show the world his scar.
你是在大声什么啦？
Looks like he's going to get a chance.
There it is. That's going to be what Najin Sword loves to do. They love to dive in. They jump in with Skarner.
Well.
And Sona is something that they just key off of every game they can get it. Najin Sword picks it almost every game, but so does Saigon Jokers as well, so they've kind of taken it away from them.
Yeah, and I remember Loco Doka mentioning it in the regional finals. It's like, why did they not ban Sona? Because that crescendo is just landing and basically it's like a full-on we win button. The I win button you can occasionally get in games. That is what Saigon Jokers, Najin Sword use because they're catching out.
智慧果都没有小用，靠腰拿一堆，真不知道干嘛。
And these picks actually coming in fairly fast through the rest of it. We got the Lux once again. She's seen a lot of play so far this tournament. This is something they like to run as a support. It's an Ezreal Lux lane in a lot of scenarios. Very, actually quite strong if they both hit level 6. One life binding comes across and they can both just combo their ultimate. Pretty much a clean kill in those lanes.
So Song looks like he's going to be taking Rise as well.
这是原版。
It looks like, guessing Corki's going to get locked in. Yes, he is. So Corki's
然后嘞
carry. They're going to be using standard stuff here. Didn't go for Graves. I mean,
破妙
really the playoff is the Ezreal Graves or Corki. That's the first time we've seen Cogmore already today. And the question is, who will be wearing this? Is it going to be the support Lux? Is it going to be the Karthus solo bot lane? Is it going to be Aurelia top lane? Is it going to be Aurelia bottom lane? They could play anywhere. We are unsure really of the exact tactic they want to go with here. We're pretty much guessing it's going to be support Lux alongside Ezreal. But the question is, where will they play?
If I had to guess, actually, just based on this, Saigon Jokers has decided to not do anything super creative. I could yet to be surprised. Guessing it's the Lux Ezreal bottom, Karthus mid, Shen jungle, Aurelia top. QTV, favorite champion Aurelia by far. He just, if he can get it every game, he can. And the fact that they let him kind of last pick that, Macnu never tried to deny it, they never banned it or anything, shows me a little bit that Najin Sword may not have done full research on Saigon Jokers because they would have been distracted with the other teams that they consider the threats. So here, Saigon Jokers pretty much getting all their favorite money champions. Karthus is Nixwater's favorite thing to play. Archie's favorite is Ezreal. Aurelia's favorite for QTV. They get the Shen. So really, everything Saigon Jokers has here is right in their wheelhouse. And it's just a matter of Najin Sword saying, we'll give it to you. We're going to try to beat you anyway.
We're going to try and beat you with it anyway. And they were happy with that, Jace, regardless. So ladies and gentlemen, we've seen what the teams have selected. Let's have a shout out for those teams. Who do you want to win this one? Saigon Jokers coming in as a surprise guest. Would you like to see them take game 1?
Let's hear it for Najin Sword if you guys want to see them take the first game of this group stage.
但金剑想要拿小组全胜吧，好像。怎么后面是哈夏？哦，对，因为这个是那个。这场你们用听的就好，我没有特别想看。
They just need to forget what they are doing. Let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. We are underway. It is, if you've just joined us, Najin Sword playing as the blue team, Saigon Jokers playing as the red team of the top lane. And well, honestly, on your screen, you can see just how awesome it is right here live in Los Angeles at the World Championships. And honestly, if you're not down here, you best get yourselves down here tomorrow. There's going to be plenty of space available, so make sure you are in and around the area of LA Live. Obviously, if you're living in a different country, it could be a problem.
It'd be hard to get down here for the next day, but either way, waiting for Saigon Jokers to see if they try and be creative, or whether they're just comfortable enough on their champions to take on Najin. Najin's all 5 grouped up in this triangle brush. Saigon Jokers are really playing defensively. They're trying to guard against and invade.
看我的，
might try to make
好
something
酷
happen,
哦！
but if they're not threatened by Saigon Jokers, there's no need to risk a level 1. They could passive farm and hopefully take it that way. Really interesting to see what they decide here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing which are they going to go into it. It would be death to anyone entering that tri-bush. I think Ezreal's tempted to go near it.
银钥匙，这些钥匙到底可以干嘛？常常拿一堆莫名其妙不知所云钥匙。 这一场我不太想看呢，老实讲，结果大概都知道。海马啸西风，什么鬼？
Look at this, that's an Aurelia and a Lux in the bottom lane. And they really have a just odd setup right here because they're
靠腰拿到其中一本书了，这本在讲什么的、啊？我没看过这本书哎，也没听说过。
Why oh why indeed? Who's we to question
这场
why?
不太想看哎，讲真的。
Call the shots, and as it is, it's going to be Watch starting out on the Elder Wraith.
这本的主角是谁啊？听都没听说过。
will be going to prey, so standard lanes from Nash.
到底这样拿一本砍那个门，应该是要有什么能力限定吧？
QTB is waiting here. Are they waiting to try and get a gank early on? Because Ezreal is still lingering
听
as
都
well.
没
I
听
think
说
they
过
want to get a level 1
主角是谁都不记得，
actually the team
好奇怪哦！10门他妈你砍开了，这个你倒是没有办法。没搞错，你忘了内容，剑不是什么重要的。
Flash straight on towards Prey. They managed to get the light bind across. Surely it should be first blood. It will be. Then QTB picks it up. You shouted yes because you called it right.
干西贡拿手杀，真的假的？
The very first game that everyone who played League of Legends, they run into a brush. Two guys are waiting for there
there's
and they
5
kill 'em.
people down the bottom lane. You're just
The
like,
fact
what?
that strategy still works.
那战术不是抓那个吗？中路吗？他们中还活
Now
着。
everybody's thinking back to their, you know, their early days.
没差，干是有居演，也从那个阿苏普身上拿过手杀，后来下场还
You
是
know,
很凄
Double
惨。
Lift is famous for being space checking, so you know everybody has done it, even at the pro level. So it worked out very well. We thought, to be honest, he was giving it away, and it worked out very nicely, which immediately means that Golem advantage that the blue side has completely backfired because Archie hit level 2 first.
And the interesting thing about all of that is QTB didn't actually teleport back up to the top lane. He decided to walk, which means he missed a fair number of minions, and Macnoon has an immediate experience advantage onto QTB. QTB got the kill, so he has the first blood gold, but even then Macnoon might still be able to bully him out of that.
So early gold advantage obviously towards Saigon Jokers. Still almost said Singapore Sentinels. I was still that surprised that they didn't make it. But Saigon Jokers here on full merit. They are representing the whole of Vietnam here.
And even the Singapore Sentinels actually released a video saying they absolutely deserve to be here. They beat it so much and good luck. So that was a really good sportsmanship thing to see from Singapore Sentinels. And it just shows Saigon Jokers did qualify in here. They're completely legit. They won the games. They deserve to be a little bit respected, especially with that first blood.
Yeah, with all calls to the honor systems, Singapore Sentinels definitely.
操，有小龙女那边唧唧歪歪的，我刚正以为我稀罕。
As it stands, take us through the lanes, Jan. I mean, we talked about this top lane to start with. QTB getting dived on the turret a little bit by Macnoon, taking a little bit of damage. He's got a massive creep wave he needs to fend off here. Meanwhile, down the bottom here, and seeing Archie trying to go aggressive on Prey. Can he finish him off? Archie actually taking a tower hit. Surely will finish him off. He does get the kill, but he went down on the back of it. Kane managed to go turn the kill. He may even be able to get the kill on towards Lux there, just forces him away.
干到墓中，你敢信？
Middle lane, Nick's Water actually getting caught out here by Watch. Watch wanted to prove to the world that he is the best, well, honestly, the best kind of player in the world. Well, you got to go against Diamond Props to prove that one because he plays a pretty mean style himself.
Looking into the top lane here while we have a second, the Aurelia versus the Jace matchup. Macnoon thinks Jace can beat everything in top lane. That's why he first picked it, and he's very comfy on it. Thus far, with that experience advantage, he's going to look to just keep pressed, counter gank potentially from Skarner if he sees Violet. They could maybe get something here going on.
美妆好像在我家。 美
美
妆在我家那边对不对？ 我不太想看西贡小丑比赛。
Quite happy to just stick it out there. This aggression that he shows on Violet just starting to burn down his hit points. But QTV will be able to manage to sustain himself. But the two junglers, it's almost becoming a double lane at that top.
And in that top lane, Macnoon is going to be a bully to QTV. QTV needs to wait until he's got a lot of levels before he can actually duel Macnoon or just try to run him out of mana. Since they're both low, that's going to be a tricky lane. Going into the mid lane, we have the Karthus versus the Rise. This is going to be all about setup for the ganks right here. Lands, that Dark Binding. Oh, we have something. Never mind, we don't have something going down bottom. Song is going to try to not get shoved by Karthus. Nixwater, as Karthus, usually outfarms everyone. So far, 7 minions up onto Rise. It's really all about whether they can turn ganks around for Rise onto Karthus. Looking in the bottom lane, this lane is just about all up aggression and brawling.
波都是骗人的啦，干。等真的小丑赢一场再说。
Every time they go in for a light binding, there's a potential for someone to die. So really, the bottom lane, as you've seen already, is most likely going to have the most action.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that it was Kane or Prey. See, it was down the bottom there. Was Kane was staying a long way away from the experience. Prey is just following it up because he had fell behind. Kane, you can see, he's actually a level advantage over Prey at the moment, and he was just staying out of it, letting all the experience go to Kane. The top lane, though, QTV, Mac Noon just finished him off there. He just stuck around longer and eventually just got chipped away at.
Mac Noon actually putting 0 points in his W thus far. Everything going in to his E and his Q, so all his main damaging burst spells are getting as much ramp as possible. He didn't even level up his ultimate come level 6, which is why QTV got surprised by that burst damage, because most Jaces are not going to have that skill set up come level 6.
And as it is, Archie and Julie down that bottom lane, they've been poked pretty heavily. I think they're going to
台湾只有霹雳弹嘛，
definitely working them over slowly but surely. See the health box being burned through. Archie now completely out of health box again. That shield from Junie just trying to cover him off there. He has gone for the double door and is trying his best to keep that sustain on, but very slowly but surely is going to dive in towards it. Junie will get taken down. That's going to be the QTV teleported in there. Are they going to be able to finish off Prey? The crescendo goes across. It will be enough. Can they get on towards Kane though? QTV just needs to go one dash, blocked off by the minions. That's too much to tower dive. Now Watch is going to rejoin in. He has got his ultimate available, but he's not going to go for it. Just backs away.
没装，干这是药王装，靠腰，没装在哪？ 刚刚来一发，从后面来。
They don't expect him to still be there, but Song coming down as well. They have to fall back. QTV out of position.
Out of position. He does dive onto a
敢被打枪。
the target, but because QTV won up the Song there, they should be able to pick it up. A brilliant taunt now coming out from Violent. Turns it into a double kill. Absolutely spectacular stuff. And Saigon Jokers keeping themselves in this one. 5-4 up. The top two will go down though. Mac Noon opening up the exchange and taking the first turret of the game.
They made Mac Noon is crushing Aurelia in the top lane, but
妈的，难道他要道德值？感觉应该是哦。
He's trying to make things happen elsewhere. All that action in the bottom lane has given them the kill advantage. It's really just a matter of they have to find a way to deal with Mac Noon. I can went the brutalizer. They're going to have to focus him in team fights and try to kill him out early. But overall, 9 minutes into the game, Saigon Jokers doing an amazing job showing Najin's sword that they're not to be taken for granted.
Absolutely. And at the moment, this bottom lane continuing to push on. So Prey returning back. He's gone. Jace now gone with a brutalizer in that top lane. He wants to really absolutely knock 7 bells out of him. So Phase is going to get built up. Kane's getting caught out again here. Archie's going to dive on towards him. There's the Shen ultimate coming down. And he's going to immediately taunt him out there. Can they finish off towards Prey here? Vita went looking for him. Mac Noon joins the party though. He comes down. Can they get towards Archie? Yes, they can. Mac Noon gets one. Can they get a second? They're trying to get towards Judy. Lifeline just keeping them away there. I feel that Mac Noon wants to punish this one. Judy realizes it, tries to take down.
但我觉得他们现场观众要做12小时也蛮疯的，操，在家转播就算了。干你现场也要撑12小时。干神经病。
He has not put a point into W or R yet this game, so he's trying to maximize his QE damage. This is something I've not seen Jaces do. Maybe it's my ignorance, or maybe it's just Mac Noon doing something crazy, because it is working out amazing so far.
我到底来到哪了？
See Prey just going to continue driving home on that turret. He is going to take it down. I was about to say that's very un-Korean of him. Koreans very much take that advantage. Once they see that turret, they will take it down very quickly. So QTV now trying to farm his way back up in that top lane. He has been involved, but Mac Noon 66 CS to 50 CS.
他们早上6点到晚上6点。
Proving why he's a danger man.
It's really going to be about Mac Noon roaming around now and tanking down turrets. He took the turret top by himself really easily. The instant he goes bottom, he gets kills and takes another turret. He's probably going to farm up here top very briefly, then maybe try to force mid and get the third. Najin's sword loves to keep on the pressure. This is going to be very interesting how Mac Noon transitions the rest. All of his skill points going into Shock Blast and Acceleration Gate. Those EQs are going to truck down side and get into any kind of siege situation.
Absolutely, we just see Junie marking up the territory, as it were, down by the dragon. While Mac Noon continues just to farm up on this top lane. He really caused himself a problem. Where's he heading? He's just got to keep your eye on Magni. Once he starts heading somewhere, it generally means there's going to be a kill that will follow. Looks like he's going to go heading in towards the mid layer, towards Caliper. Sneaks water. Needs to be careful.
Also, the dragon is up. They could potentially...
Archie and Junior actually heading over towards the dragon already. You can see Shen is there. And they are going to pull out the dragon. You can see dragon is going to come out. As it is. Aren't Najin Sword aware of this? And they don't seem to be, or are they even going to bother going for it? Looks like Saigon Jokers are just going to pick this one up without any problems. There it is, free dragon, thank you very much. Can they stop Najin Sword taking down the turret? That's the question. The Ezreal ultimate comes across. They're going to have to tank it up there. You can see Watch just off to the side there. That's going to be an immediate engage. QTV going in, get it dropped in. The crescendo hits the entire team.
应该不是先炒，不知道大家要借药材怎样，再敲我再看好了。我家一直往上炒，敲门不晓得男的难道是另外一间的情侣？不是很清楚。
May or may not have known the dragon, but with how far up they were pushing that tower, they were just waiting for Saigon Turks to come fight them. And boy, were they ready. The crescendo really winning them that fight, setting up everything else, and they could potentially take a second turret off that exchange.
Absolutely, they're going to go straight into the second inner turret. Archie can do nothing but watch. He is helpless. Just spectate this one, just like the rest of us here in the crowd. We just have to watch that turret going down. And Najin Sword turning that one small advantage of losing the dragon and fighting and just turning it into such a massive advantage, taking 2 turrets off the back of it.
And with all that, they're all going back whole heaps of gold on a lot of them. MacNoon, 1,900 gold, he's going to turn that into a BF sword, so he's going to be absolutely crushing with those EQ combos because that's all he's put points into at level 10. He's maxed his acceleration gate, he's maxed his shot blast, and it's just a huge, unreal amount of burst damage that comes down into Jace at level 10 already. How is Saigon Jokers going to get 4 turrets to 0 down already? Total aggression coming out from Najin.
Yeah, watch here. 8-6 up the kills. 21k to 17.2.
对他敲门声还蛮小，他大概以为我在睡觉。全民拿了，我现在在练了。
All the outer turrets currently down. The one inner turret down. Najin Sword definitely with map control. Just going to drive things home, see if they can pick anyone off there. MacNoon. And it's like you said about the acceleration gate. You know, he's just picking people off left and right with that thing. It's a pain in the for I had to watch what I said there for arrows, but you know, here on the moment on the top lane, we saw Soaz with it so delicately, just ripping through teams at the EU regionals for Fnatic, and honestly, the teams have just picked it up from there on in. You know, MacNoon actually mentioned Soaz in his brief, you know, saying that it's a shame that he didn't actually get to meet Soaz here. He just, which is obviously where a lot of players have picked up Jace from. We've seen Dyrus running it as well lately.
It's really, once you learn how to play Jace, you're a huge threat. And MacNoon is just one of the masters, really. He was drawing bans from it during the Korean regionals, and I'm expecting bans from him in the rest of his group. This is so difficult for Saigon Jokers to deal with. They did, really, they were holding the map pretty well, aside from QTV losing that lane early. Then QTV went to Rome, and we thought that was all well and good, but then MacNoon went to Rome and really just turned the game on its head.
So as it is, Minus trying to climb out in that top lane. Meanwhile, Archie, he's got to be careful he doesn't get caught out here. Rise, definitely feel aggressive for this one. It's one of the things that's been mentioned. Song has started to go a lot more aggressive than he used to. He used to be that passive.
Oh, Violet up top.
Almost Scar and Violet is definitely going to get caught out. Dropped in seconds there. And Watch just popping that ulti, just hooking him in. There was no escape from that one. MacNoon just picking up another assist. 4-0-2 for MacNoon, 2-1-2. You talked about this build earlier on with the boost of ability and the Oracle being built very early on.
Now with Watch, since they have the advantage, since they've taken down towers, there's not much Saigon Jokers can do to farm because, as we saw there, Najin can wait in brushes and know that they're not that vision. They both followed in the brush. Everyone in Saigon Jokers really restrained to their base. These outer turrets could very well fall. Their jungle is no longer their own. The lanes are no longer their own. And Najin doing a great job at just pressuring around.
不会再加入。如果先去少林寺会有什么不一样吗？
whole of Saigon Jokers now. This is going to be a full-on 5v5 in this top lane. The ping's going down. I think Saigon Jokers may have realized it. The whole team is there. QTV getting caught out by the Rise ultimate going across them. You can see MacNoon just trying to get around the side. He wants to really start things off here. the Kane crescendo, I've talked about it earlier on. It seems to be the big
打人有
thing
点
that
痛，
starts off the
真
team fight.
套。
Once that crescendo hits across,
我没有抽很多，老实讲。
across a minimum of 3 players every time. They're going to tank up against the turret here. You can see they really want to start to fight, but instead they're like, oh, do we going to have to take this turret down? Okay, fine. We wanted a fight, really.
Saigon Joker's got very heavily poked down there. The rise off of an action did a
提早
substantial amount of
2个。
damage, and then Archie got hit pretty hard by a shock blast
真的
from
假的？没
Magnum.
练满差
They're
这么
most
多。
likely just going to go all around the map here and take out the second tier turrets in every single lane individually. They have 5 turrets now, soon to be 6. They're just making sure to keep up their goal.
The Magnum's poke, we just saw it blast across there. Calvin's hit point
Go,
dropped instantly. Has now got that BS scored.
每个他妈都是在面。
Ruben really,
等下。
he's so popular. He's definitely one of the fan favorites.
看到东西都会抓狂。
Korea and honestly in the Western world as well. You know, he was over here in the season 2. The Riot Games World Invitational, yeah, that you guys played and obviously made
Yeah,
Yi. Yeah, Magnum may have beat us pretty badly. He clicked Nasus, destroyed us, picked Yi, killed 4 Phantom Dancers, and destroyed us.
He kind of made you look silly.
Sad memories.
That was the live testing team, I believe, mainly. Yeah, now that I've seen you all in the office, I'm pretty sure that's all of you guys that are sat there. So yeah, we guys were spanked by Magnum, and you know what? It doesn't make you feel too bad when he starts doing it against other pro teams, so honestly, you shouldn't feel too bad for yourself. He has just completed that Bloodthirster 4-0 to 130 CS, and you know, we talked about it earlier, the CS isn't really the thing that Najix will go for at the moment.
我以为作为那个祈福是要给另外一个不开门的那边看，说。
Saigon Joker's kind of own game. Here they're going for another dragon. Global goal getting bigger and bigger. And Saigon Joker is too weak at this point to go for kills in a lot of situations.
Yeah, they cannot get involved in this one, and they're wise not to. They're just going to sit back and farm. They're in that dangerous situation where they're group farming. So really the experience, the gold has been spread too thinly. Archie's got to be very careful he doesn't get caught out of position. And here is a 3-man gang squad coming from Saigon Jokers. You can see they've used the gate, and Archie was well ready for it, but Watch managed to hook straight in, and that is a very dead Archie. And Watch ended up picking up the kill. They weren't really that bothered. And now Prey actually picking up Judy, trying to 1v3 them here, and having to back away from that one. He has got the help coming out. Song's going to come around the side. Violet's got to be careful he doesn't get caught out. Here comes Song. He's going to try and get involved. Nick's Watch could easily get caught out. The wall of the pain. Diving out towards Song. Could it be a bait? UTV going to be the target. They're just turning around. Looks, he's trying to get forced back. UTV's going to get away. The Ignite is running. Song is still there. The flash from Kane. Flash crescendo from Kane. Don't fall on aggression. The rest of the team were not with him. But Magnum from downtown slams it home. And that's going to be the Carthus will be doing nothing to stop them. And Najin's sword will take the first inhibitor phase. Oh, Song got caught by Archie. That's real awesome. Just as he's about to exit. And that's got to be careful.
有什么不打他直接出去再进来？
Big play overall for Najin's sword. Nothing is slowing down Magnum, and that boost of mobility Skarner comboed with the gate from Jace was an unreal amount of speed. Archie had no way of escape at the very start of that huge long engagement.
It was a very long engagement. I wasn't too sure whether Kane had gone a little bit too.
而且为什么每次要美妆激怒他们呢？到底要不要引他
？It's all good. I love to see those flash crescendos. It's something I'm used to seeing Melisande used to do. Sadly, he's no longer playing for Fnatic. He's obviously stopped playing League of Legends, but he used to do that quite regularly. We saw it at IEM New York where they went unstoppable. And, you know, it's one of those things you don't see. I mean, obviously we see Gosu Pepper going very aggressive on Sona, but we don't tend to see the flash crescendos coming out, the full-on aggression from their support. And, you know, that just shows, that backs up the theory that the whole team is an aggressive beast.
Everyone on Najin's sword just goes. You don't see them sitting back. The last game you and I did was the CLGEU, just the last one. CLGEU is patient. Yeah. Najin's sword's not patient. Najin's sword goes. They take every small opportunity and just pounce on it. They execute, and they are all out aggressive. And it catches a lot of teams. They never have a time to think. They don't have a plan. Time to get a counterattack ready because they just get hit again and again and can never stand back up.
Which goes to show, you know, how strong CLGEU were to beat Najin's sword 3-1 in that semi-finals of the OGN Summer Championships. You know, how they countered it, well, we will soon find out because they'll be playing each other in the next 2 games. So, I mean, there's so many good games still coming up. This is the very start of Group B, really. We've just seen CLGEU beat Dignitas. If you missed that game, apologies, I've just spoiled it for you completely. You can check that VOD out. It was a pretty slow farming session, though, so I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit of a daft squid, that one. So 12-7, Najin's sword, though, definitely an aggressive one. if I would recommend any game through the day, it would involve a Korean team or an Asian team because honestly, they have all been super aggressive, and I love this.
还有高手。
So far, they've somewhat stolen the show from a lot of
Yeah.
the other teams. They've been dominating almost all of their matchups. Really, the only Chinese or Korean team to lose thus far was when they played against each other. So right now, we actually see MacNoon trying to split push while the other four are posturing around Baron. This is a little curious because MacNoon is the strongest member. He has no reason to not be with the team right now. And it's at this point, Najin needs to think about turning the game into a victory. Saigon Jokers is at the point where they have to try to make a gambit play. This is really the last-ditch effort if Saigon Jokers wants to do anything.
Yeah, and they realize that MacNoon has now rejoined the team. He's pushed that bottom lane, so that's going to push itself, which means somebody's going to have to go deal with it. And Najin sort of slowly but surely setting up for Baron. Do they want the Baron? Or do they just want to force a fight at the Baron? And Relia seems to be going on towards QTV. QTV's got to be careful. He's already backtracking. He realizes the dangerous situation he was in. Najin Sword respect that, and then he's going back already, trying to set up for some sort of gang. There's a real lack of wards for both teams in this, though.
Forcing the fight would be ideal. Watch has been taking out all of Saigon Joker's wards. And
每次都
Najin
打麻
doesn't
将
really。care to ward right now because they win every
Oh,
fight.
Junie.
And Junie,
Ooh.
scouting around. So ideally right here, Najin wants to get a fight, trying to take a Baron with the potential of a Lux and an Ezreal coming in for a steal as well as potential smite. That would be the only thing that can get Saigon Jokers back in the game.
没，
Najin sort of so far ahead, they
槟榔
don't
跟
actually
皮没
need
拿，可以干嘛？
to get in this inhibitor, and that's what they kind of
我没有
realized
到
here.
过
They
台湾。
realized Saigon wasn't going to try to come for a Baron fight. Instead, they're just going to walk up and take this inhibitor if they can get it.
Yeah, there's no tower to stop them, so why not just go for it? MacNoon actually opening up on the bush there just to take a little check there.
二皮有，二
A
皮
little
我
bit
拿
of
了
poke。on towards that inhibitor. Question is, can they
我
catch
不知道还有什么东西防御力比较
Jokers
高
out?
的，
I'm expecting
到
to
底有
see
没有软
maybe
猬
a
甲？
flash engage here from Song, or maybe even Kane. Something to that extent. They are slowly but surely poking him out here. Warpaint hitting the team, but again, Frey not really that bothered. Nick's Water
一点
getting
地
dropped
地
down
道
a
量
little。bit there. MacNoon managing to land that.
叶老三都变成我徒
And
弟
there it
了。
is, there's the flash engage straight away. The crescendo goes across the entire team. Saigon Jokers dropping left, right, and center. Nick's Water going down. There's just one member left. It's going to be an ace. It is going to be Junie. And honestly, that Carter's ultimate may as well just throw a towel at Najin's Sword because they have just ripped the team apart. MacNoon, you can't tank two turrets, son. You may be good, but you're not that strong. And that may be put a little bit of damper on the back of it.
He did the same thing in the final game against COGU. They won an ace and he just ran straight into the Nexus turret on Jace. Only death of the game for MacNoon. That's almost his victory celebration.
There is a surrender.
And there is surrender. GG to Najin Sword. Amazing job.
Amazing, amazing job. Those flash engages very strong. And Najin Sword looked very happy with that one. MacNoon giving the two-man arm salute there. Not to be confused with the finger salute, which looks like we are getting from the team, so really happy with that one. I'll tell you what, I'm so impressed with the Korean teams right now. They have turned up at this tournament. You know, we talked about, how nervous they may be coming into this one. They have shown no sign of nerves at all.
You watch Najin Sword play in these team fights, and they're just faster than some of the games we're used to. The things happen in a quicker fashion. The fight starts and it's over before you even realize it. They just so much execution.
才
And
20
Najin Sword
房
is
了，
best
好
in
想
class.
要。
Okay, so let's just check out the scorecards from that game. And honestly, actually, we won't check out the scorecards. I'll ignore that, so it's all good. I was ignoring it anyway, so that's okay.
fine.
But I mean, honestly, we can look at it. We've got the MacNoon there, 7-1-6, double bloodthirster. That's aggression.
He's going for the EQ combos, right? There is an amazingly large AD ratio on that shock blast once you throw through the acceleration gate, and there just wasn't the defense. They didn't have the time to farm up. He was just blowing through them. In those team fights, they had way too much AoE, and it's just the speed at which they team fight and the coordination of everyone going. There's absolutely no hesitation with what they do, and that's one of the big differences between them and the rest.
And that aggression, as you can see, is check out the board and see where that puts them. It is going to be 1-0 alongside CLG EU. The Saigon Jokers going down to 0-1 alongside Dignitas. Obviously, the first two games of Group B now being played out. And honestly, there is still another 4 games to go. It's already getting dark, ladies and gentlemen, here. The lighting will really start kicking in. You guys can see on your screen, that is Najin Sword. What a fantastic, fantastic performance those guys just
靠腰，
put in.
这是左右吗？
Can't say enough about how strong they were coming into this tournament. They were unexpected at the start of OGN Season 2. newly formed team. They were really supposed to be Najin's just kind of secondary team, but they've blown everyone away. They beat Azubu's almost A team coming in here, Azubu Blaze in the regionals, and really you have to take them extremely seriously because
跟你老婆一起
they
上。
went through the gauntlet essentially and came out surprisingly on top.
Could we possibly see two Korean teams 3-0 in the group stage?
It's not out of the question because it's going to be at least out of these first two games, the two 1-0 teams obviously.
刚为什么你内力又靠腰？你怎么了？
That's a matchup that happened before.
你为什么一直在中途状态啊？你妈吃药啊
They were still very young when that happened. Great game to see, and wouldn't be surprised if both Korean teams were 3-0.
And the Saigon Jokers didn't start off too badly in that game. You know, they started off, they got the first blood. How are they going to pick themselves up off the back of that one? They've lost to what, you know, even we count as one of the top teams.
It's going to be really interesting for them because Saigon Jokers, they got to just come up out of that. And in that last fight, we're talking about how fast Najin Sword creates these team fights. Are they able to just, let's see that replay real fast, can they just crush down on this last team? Because as soon as they landed the crescendo, as soon as they landed that Skarner ult, they just created the fight, and it was over before it started. The flash ult
可是我记得我刚刚有去休息过啊，怎么会？ 怎么会这样？
There's nothing Saigon Jokers can do to react because everyone died
shield
before they're able to do something. And they're, boom, everyone pretty much obliterated. Even though they were sitting in Karthus Defile, the fight was over so fast that that was the only damage they had to worry about, and they could just tank it.
And the problem is they actually followed the hook. You know, we saw the Skarner hook go in, and everybody followed it because Karthus said, oh, I'm going to defile it there. Everybody went in, so it's just like, oh, thanks. Kane's just like, I'm going to crescendo the entire team. Thank you. Have a merry dance.
Multiple crescendos of the entire team that game.
Multiple
and
crescendos.
If we had to see some
is that a ban
adjusted bans for Najin Sword almost.
上来
Bans
杨
that
过
game, while they were targeted, I
靠北
gotta
丢
say, Jace and Sona from Kane and Macnoon are really threatening because the way they were playing those, really, really hard just to counteract. Jace pokes you and pokes you and pokes you, and you try to come in, and all of you guys get crescendo. So what do you do against them?
What do you do indeed? Well, we'll find out, because coming up next, it is going to be Najin Sword going up against CLG EU. It is a replay of the OGN Summer Championship semi-finals. We'll be back in a few moments. It will be Freak and Riv taking away the action.
结束了，好快哦！会战一面倒吧。早说过优势领先什么都是骗人的。这里有东西拿吗？刚刚我已经是绝世神功都在身上了。 但他状态哪有回满？没有哎、黑木牙在哪？没得医嘞、干田哥一直受伤。 这个宝藏图有什么东西啊？ 黑木牙在哪？我不是在林平之那边练的欸。田哥表示痛苦，我哩嘞，怎么帮他治伤啊？我想不到。古墓在哪？又要坐船。在第二条河中还是第一条河？田哥一直受伤，我没有药可以医他了。难得下节这么早。
Ladies and gentlemen, oh.
By all means, sir, if you would like to.
No, ladies, go ahead.
You're so sweet. Welcome back, everyone, to day one of the World Playoffs. I'm Rachel, and with me is DJ Wheat.
Sorry, I'm so excited for this next matchup, Rachel. I just couldn't contain myself. We have got widely considered the two favorites in Group B. We have Najin Sword going up against CLG EU. So without further ado, let's bring out the teams.
解除红血状态。
First up, playing as the blue team, they competed all over Asia. They are one of the most popular teams in the world. Please welcome to the stage, Counter Logic Gaming EU.
为什么这样不能一路车过去的？解除红血要拿东西，拿打。娘们儿。
Next up, playing as the red team, they are looking to avenge their loss to CLG EU in the semifinals of the Champions Summer. Welcome back from Korea, Najin Sword! Both of these teams have a lot to prove. Let's shoot it over to our casters. Give it up to Freak and Riv.
Thanks, guys. Incredibly excited for this matchup. You can see the players having an amazing time out here. The fans having an amazing time. All right, guys. As DJ Wheat mentioned, this is a battle between what many consider the favorites of Group B. What should we be expecting from this game, Freak?
Well, we're going to see a very hungry Najin Sword. They lost 1-3 the last time these guys met in a best-of-5 in a LAN in a tournament in Korea. Now it's a best-of-1 in a LAN in a tournament in America. So really, really good teams here on both sides. And I'm expecting a tooth-and-nail match. But I've heard a lot of different predictions here. So talking with Team Solo Mid, but you know, backstage before the matches, Reginald tried so hard to bet me that Dignitas would make it out of the group. So everyone's been saying these are the top two teams in the group, but maybe not. TSM really convinced that Dignitas can pull it out. We saw CLG beat them earlier. Maybe they are the top dog here. But at the same time, Najin Sword really looking to prove themselves. We saw a pretty strong game for them just a second ago, and this is really a very important match for both of these teams, especially if Dignitas is to show up and be a heavy contender here. Both these teams need this win.
So, Freak, these teams coming into this matchup, Najin off the win is going to help. We haven't seen much from CounterLogic Europe, obviously, but they are a team to be reckoned with. They have a lot of strategies to come in here, and those are solid. They're not hugely innovative, but they work time and time again. Sometimes they falter. We saw that happen in Korea. We'll see if they can pick it up here.
Yeah, so CLG EU, you know, they're very, very strong, and we've seen them time and again, and we mentioned a little bit ago, this is a rematch of the On-Game Net Champions Summer League semifinals. And we talked to CLG EU about their recent trip to Korea and what it's like to play abroad.
Korea, and I thought it was pretty damn cool. We were invited by OGN to participate in OGN Summer Tournament, but it wasn't really only for the tournament. It was also about having, for the first time, having a gaming house experience. That's one of the main reasons we wanted to go to Korea, not just for the $40,000 tournament, mainly for the practice. We were relatively new together. We hit the professional scene rather late, in the beginning of June. So for 2 months, every single day we were together. We're learning each other's weaknesses and strengths.
We got regular practice against, you know, the top teams in the world.
Korean style is very, very aggressive. They just have the most good players in the, like, if you were just to tally up the number of like super good players from each region, Korea would definitely have the most.
We got whooped at the start, but you know, as we progressed, we started fighting back.
We had to adapt to the Koreans' early game aggressiveness to make sure we got in the late game. So by playing against the Korean teams, we learned how do you respond to this aggressive playstyle early. We started off really well, did really good in our group stages, went 3-0, and then kept winning every week until we went to the finals.
I think it was really nice to be in Korea. It's definitely something new for me because I've been living in Denmark.
Living in Korea was interesting, especially food-wise. You're eating different food every day.
And Asian food is not really my type. It's like a lot of seafood.
The food's a lot more spicier. It's a lot more meat-orientated as well. Like you're eating, it's pretty much a Korean barbecue a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. The tournament itself was absolutely amazing. Not only from the games we played, but also the production value and the venues was just on a whole new level from what we knew before.
It's like the mecca of esports, so it's like really professional there. And it really brought us closer together. And I think from it, we became a much stronger team. I'd say if we survived those 2 months without killing one another, so I think we're good for the future.
And there you have it, guys, straight from the words of their own mouths. It's so big to get that international experience. It pays dividends in the end, and you can see just how much they've really taken from it. Now let's talk about CounterLogic's opponents, Najin Sword, and their keys to beating CLG this time around. Freak, they're going to come in here, and they're going to have to make some early openings in CLG Europe.
Exactly. This is really, it just plays into their playbook so very well. Najin Sword is a team built around Maknoon. Maknoon is a player all about fighting early, fighting often, and fighting hard, and everyone on that roster is all about that. You just saw CLG's interview where they said, all the Koreans play really aggressively. We had to learn how to deal with this early aggression, but even still, this is still what Maknoon and co really need to do here, is make some early openings in CLG.
And we've seen it, it's a bit of the history. They have had trouble with it, but they need to close the game out, especially against CounterLogic Gaming.
And this you really saw in the first game of their semifinal match, where they opened up with a huge lead, and it all turned sour at that one dragon fight this is back in OGN Summer, where Yellow Pete refused to die and picked up basically a triple kill as Kog'Maw, just picking off the enemy champion at the very end. This can't happen again to Sword. It's a best of one. They need to come out strong and close the game out. They need to not throw that lead away.
And Freak, the last point talks about top, but it's really about the bottom and mid lane. They cannot focus Wicked this matchup.
Yeah, that top lane matchup is really, in Wicked's words, actually the top two or the best two top laners in the game. I asked Wicked, I was like, hey, can you beat Maknoon? He said it doesn't matter. Why does it matter? Well, it's the best two players in the game. It's just we're gonna play. It's gonna be fun, but it's not a big deal. And we really think that what it's really about here for Sword is actually shutting down Froggen and shutting down Yellow Pete. Where I've always felt that Wicked's a player that no matter what happens, whereas the rest of that lineup, that late game back line dealing all the damage, you can actually shut them down. When you have an aggressive team, you can put that pressure on, deal a lot of damage, and really bring back those late game carries. If you're worried about CLG making a late game comeback, and you delay those late game champions from really getting any items, there's no real leg to stand on, and that's what they need to do here.
Now he was let slip through and given to Jokers in
不
the
行啊，我还
last
是要
matchup.
拿
The
来。
next key that comes out for CLG EU towards Najin is to actually break Maknoon from getting Shen. But from what we saw, that could also be Jace as well.
So Maknoon is really the star player. I mean, the team was built for him in the first place. He picked all the players. He's the captain. He's, you know, really that big shot caller for that
难道
team.
其他人会有
The
变吗？
games I
靠
saw
腰。
where Najin stood a chance to get
怎么又是你
CLG
们
was
啊
when he actually had that Shen, because it allowed him to leave his top lane, support you know, his bottom lane there with Prey and Kane, and make sure that they got ahead. They could crush down on a Yellow Pete and kind of shut him out of the game. And I really felt that global presence, when you've got your best player and he can go all around the map, that's really, really important. Apparently Froggen looking forward to Nivea in this game, putting the wings out. But again, they need to shut down Maknoon's ability to roam around the map and assist his other lanes.
这两个怎么连
Isolate
在一
him
起
is a
啊？
lot better for CLG.
And obviously something they can always rely on where they feel most comfortable to play for the late game.
And it's pretty much an easy key for CLG because they're going to do it anyway. They are all... Froggen, you're distracting my audience. I don't like you very much. But you know, CLG, they're a late game team. They've always been this way. Maybe they pull out something new in this tournament, but I really feel that they're going to build that late game power, and they're just going to keep themselves strong and build themselves up through this match.
Then you know what? It looks like Snoopy's not worried about it. They just don't need to worry about falling behind.
That determination. Snoopy refuses to give
干
up.
你为什么
There's a
动不动
smile.
就中毒啊？田哥怎么
Can't
了
break-？ There we
你
go.
中
He's
什么
at
毒
that
啊？
least human here. The rest of them are cyborgs. And anyway, the final thing though for CLG EU is not to worry that much about falling behind. After that semifinal match in the Summer League, there was an interview with all the players, and Snoopy said, "Yeah, we tend to lose in lane. We tend to lose early game. We're not really worried about it. We just win with team fights late game." And you know, they said they've gotten better at fighting those early game battles, but overall they've still shown the best team fight consistency of any team here. They're still great at late game. As long as they don't get down on themselves, they're still going to bounce back.
All right, Freak, the Gay are in Champion Select. We're ready to jump in and see what Najin Sword and CLG EU can put up for each other. We do have Skarner, Evelyn, and Nivea on the ban list already.
So
Two
a
goes
lot
for CLG.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of respect bans right off the bat, and CLG EU banning out Jace as well. This is interesting. All the blue teams here have been banning out Evelyn as a primary pick. I think that's sort of denying that as an option for that 5th slot counter pick there, making sure that she doesn't kind of roll the game around. And the insta-lock looking is going to be Malphite, which does give Maknoon Shen if he wants it, which does give me a little bit of worries here. But I know Maknoon's been favoring Jace and Malphite both a lot as well, so I guess that makes sense to deny that Malphite away. It's going to give Wicked really good initiation overall in this lineup. So having Malphite means a couple of different things. You can go into the jungle, you can go into the top lane, based on what's available and what he can do for his team. That's very, very strong overall. The second point, though, is he's got 2 different roles even among those lanes. He can play as a primary tank, get Frozen Heart, Sunfire Cape, jump on a carry, just kind of sit there and be a meat wall. Or he can go full out damage. Sorcerer's Shoes, Abyssal Scepter, Deathfire Grasp, which is the build that Maknoon actually really likes to play, and just kind of jumps in and one-shots a carry, plays as an assassin. There's 2 different styles here really available.
And it looks like Counter Logic Europe looking for a little bit of aggression with their picks. They go for the fast, clear, aggressive jungle Shyvana, as well as that support Lulu, quite a safe support.
This really sets them up for a very huge BP front line. So Snoopy's going to be jungling there on Shyvana, and anything that's backed up with a Lulu just makes tanks that much better. Her ultimate just synergizes with that front line so well. It grants bonus health, and it grants them an aura that slows nearby enemies. So when Shyvana or Malphite dives in and gets that wild growth triggered, there's not much that they can really do. This tank is now slowing everyone around them. You can no longer evade this guy. He's going to completely just dash the hopes of your opponents. Now Najin Sword, they rush to pick up Ezreal. He's very safe, he can kite around, he can dash to the bag, he can get away from a lot of things, but he's still a bit frail, and he still, you know, has to, you know, kill the front line before he can move on to kill the back line. So if they can put a giant meat wall in front of Ezreal, they can really delay his damage output and keep him from killing other champions.
And we do see somewhat of a team that can poke a little bit here, and there is another one that will as well, the Orianna Sonograph.
This is really, really strong. So now they've got actually very similar to Lulu when you grab Orianna, is you've got, you can put the ball on a teammate and then really set yourself up for some really big successes. You know, if Maokai jumps on, she puts the ball on, tosses on Shockwave, puts on Dissonance afterwards, you just put a lot of crowd control on the enemy team. You know, basically Maokai becomes a vessel for that ball to come out and land more crowd controls. They've got a lot of disruption on this Najin Sword lineup. if someone initiates on, they can keep locking up CLG's lineup and keep picking up kills. They've got crowd control in so many places. Ezreal starts out strong and doesn't fall off. They've got a lot of power overall in this group.
Like Yellow P is on Tristana, has not locked in yet. We do, however, have that Karthus lock, and they're really looking for a safe pick for the AD carry.
This is basically CLG EU saying we want to pick 2 late game champions, but we want to pick somewhat safe late game champions. Now, no matter who he's against, Froggen really just always does well on Karthus. It doesn't really matter so much. He just always does phenomenally. So he's going to grab that Karthus over and over and over again. There's almost never a reason to pick a different champion. He just loves it. It works so well with his team's composition. The Tristana pick is basically just a sideways version of Kog'Maw, where long range, hyperscaling in a late game does a whole crap ton of damage. But the difference is, instead of having quite as much damage as Cog, is instead super safe. Has that rocket jump to get out of bad battles, has that Buster Shot ultimate to disengage the opposition. And when you realize that you're against an Orianna with a Maokai, you might want to pick something a bit safer and instead go for that pickup on that Tristana. So a full late game lineup is here for CLG EU. They've got a great, very disruptive front line and a hugely deadly back line in the end.
I really like this. Macnu going on to Nidalee to verse Wicked Malphite.
So this is very, very interesting. Macnu going for that Nidalee wants to play a heavy assassin role, which is scary to me because they're against Tristana, who's going to be able to escape from these kinds of situations. And Nidalee's mid game is very precarious as well. You often see it being an AD Nidalee who runs for a fast Trinity Force and then builds tanky from there and does all of her damage in Cougar form. Well, when you're up against, Malphite and Karthus and things like that, you're going to take a lot of damage being in melee range just from Defile, just from area of effect damage. It's a pretty risky situation to be in if you're Nidalee. Now, if it's AP Nidalee, maybe that's a bit of a poke comp here. They've got, Orianna in here, they've got Ezreal in here, but they don't really have that same disengage that I would expect to see from a poke comp. So it's Macnu just really trying to shut down an early mid-game lineup. But as far as endgame goes, they don't have nearly the same kind of endgame as CLG. We'll see if Najin can pull it through, but they've got to pull it through fast.
All right, guys, the teams have made their selections. Najin looks to take game 2 for themselves here in Group B versus Counterlogic Europe. Teams are going into game right now, guys. If you would like to see Najin take a second game as they go back-to-back, let's hear it for Najin Sword.
If you want to see Counterlogic Gaming EU avenge their North American counterparts and push on forward, let me hear you for Counterlogic Gaming Europe.
The name still holding true and strong on American soil. You can see that those cheers very much so behind Counterlogic, but the Najin fans are also in the crowd as well. We are now ready to go in game. Najin Sword on the red team. Blue team is going to be Counterlogic Europe. And I have to say, a very somewhat, not very somewhat, yeah, that works out well, right?
No,
very somewhat, I'm going to keep going. Nice. Squishy, but really no team, you're going to see turret dives coming from Najin Sword. This team does not look like they can play aggressive on the turrets. A lot of them are squishy compared to the Malphite Shyvana and Lulu coming in with shield as well. So we'll have to see what they can do.
It just works out. They've got enough elements that of champions that can just kind of make those turret dives just barely work. So Maokai can disengage from a turret with Twisted Advance. It'll drop him off that turret aggro list, and the turret will switch to someone else. They've got heals and shields coming out from Song and from Macnu. They've got a pretty decent chance of this, of opening up a turret dive and following through with the various supports around the map. If you look at the bottom lane, again, you've got Kane on Sona. When she heals a teammate, gives an extra armor and magic resist boost as well. So in any lane, if someone dives, there's someone there to grant armor or health or a shield and keep that person on that dive. So they've got just the elements they need, just barely. It's not one of those primary tanks like an Alistar who's level 6 and laughs at all damage forever, but they've got what they need to actually make those dives happen. The scary thing, though, still, is that they're trying to dive champions who are very, very safe. Trying to dive Lulu Tristana is going to be super hard, especially Tristana with Cleanse.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. You can already jump away, then cleanse that out. It'd be very safe. I don't think we said enough, so one more time was perfect. A minute and 30 into this one, no invades coming from either side here. We do see that Maokai starting at his regular rates, and it's just going to be Malphite down with Karthus. They're going to go ahead and grab that. We've seen a lot of teams doing this now. If it's not going to be a jungler that specifically needs that blue, then just go ahead and give that whole lane to that top side.
And it's a really good way to just share resources amongst your team and make sure that you're kind of capitalizing on everything. So Yellow Bean Krepo right now finishing the double golems, pulling actually the Lizard to give Snoopy a nice easy start on this red, and they'll still be able to lock in a lane in time to not really sacrifice much experience overall. On the flip side, Maknu not doing much but dropping traps around the map and trying to keep himself safe. So there's a bit of an advantage here for CLG EU right off the bat. They've got just a little bit more golden experience to share amongst their team.
And that blue buff now going to Wicked as he makes his, no, actually going to middle, I should say, as he makes his way top lane. So he's going to be actually quite hurt coming to this one. Maknoon has expended his mana, so he won't be able to harass as much as he would like. Wicked trying to get that passive to come back up before he moves up to that Maknoon. I believe it was actually on. Shield quite low at level 1. There it is, broken, and the harassment already starting from Maknoon. Invasion here by Snoopy in the jungle. He finds Watch, and going into the bush, he wouldn't allow him to take the red. He is going to push the flash out, and that is a lot of aggression taken away from Najin Sword from the jungle.
The difficult thing, though, is Snoopy does not have his smite back up. He's going to pull onto this Lizard. They've actually pulled Frog in a kind of fence out and zone away song, so no one's really here to stop this. Wicked takes a bit of punishment, but ultimately with no one around to stop Snoopy, his teammates doing a great job of calling out who's around, who's moving, and who's not. Despite having no smite and being in the enemy jungle, Snoopy is ultimately safe here. He will steal this red away. That is a very big boost to his team.
And that was huge. If somebody were to walk by that, they would have seen that the spawn camp emblem had not died. So you can still figure out that he's taking it. Now that it's down, we're going to be moving off of that. And like you said, Freak, refreshing that red buff and really slowing down that Maokai jungle. He was able to get his blue so he can continue with that speed, but the presence in lane just won't be as strong. 3 minutes and 30 seconds in, we are going to follow if Europe continues to counter gank these objectives.
This is really going to be the core strategy here for Counterlogic Gaming Europe. They know without a shadow of a doubt that their lane is ridiculously strong as long as they keep the early game from snowballing out of control. But right now they're keeping the early game very, very tight. They're down a couple hundred, but in general, they're stopping all the possible aggression opportunities by denying a red buff. You really deny a lot of that gank power that might come out from Maokai. That early slowing from that Lizard buff is very, very powerful. It really helps you pick up kills here. So they're just removing options from the table. Snoopy constantly clearing, leveling up as fast as he can, and he just wants to be present and there if the counter gank goes wrong.
This is really great harassment by Kane. Usually it's onto the AD carry, but they're just hitting Krepo so hard, forcing him to use all those potions. He's not going to be able to help Yellow Pete in a fight. So what they're doing right now is setting him up almost for the kill. Having to flash away from that one. The aggression so strong from that Sona Ezreal poke bottom. But we do see Snoopy coming in, trying to push that lane back and say, not going to go down without a fight in this lane. I am helping each one.
This bottom lane is Kane being a complete boss. He is constantly harassing the opposition. He had a ward down aggressively in the enemy brush. He's going to flash in for some damage on Krepo, and there's the exhaust.
Oh, a little too antsy there. A beautiful shield by Krepo. He goes in the ignite. Mystic shot for first blood going to Prey.
剑的 EZ 真猛，这一套接得很顺，直接带走小炮。
That little bit of damage, I think, helped take him down because there's only one bit of damage left, and that was that one Mystic shot. And I'm pretty sure it was no, he did fit it to level 2 Mystic shot at this point, but even still, I think he would have been just taking enough to survive it. If you just, cleanse that away and but either way, a beautifully timed aggress right there. Najin's sword opening up strong. That is exactly what they need to do. But again, they're on a clock here. They've got to keep it moving because when you hit 40 minutes, it's all going to turn around if they don't end it.
Wicked getting so aggressed on right now, but he's kind of hanging out because he knows Maknoon does not have much mana. He's not going to be able to heal, and he's not level 6 yet, so he can't be in and out on an attack if he needs to. Wicked still playing quite strong here. Like he said before, two of the best top laners in the world going at it. It's no big deal. You do see Snoopy coming up top through the ward. Maknoon heading back to his tower, but he actually, I like that strat. He made it look like he was heading back, seeing the ward, moves back in, but he sees Snoopy again. So he's only trying to play the mind game here, not the visual game.
Yeah, he is absolutely wasting a lot of Snoopy's time. Snoopy will eventually come back in. Wicked, though, still is going to have enough mana for one more seismic shard if he does finally come back in. Maknoon with great ward coverage keeps that one away. Putting an aggressive ward there by the Wraith Camp, and now he's sneaking around through the jungle. Maknoon will not see this come in.
This is the perfect thing he needs to do here. The turret will give him vision right now, and Maknoon is still not level 6. His speed is slowed there by Wicked. The flash is out, the exhaust goes down with the ignite, and Maknoon will surely fall to Wicked. One to the top lane.
Excellent gank overall. That is all using the summoner spells, and that is why you bring exhaust on Shyvana. She's normally not the best ganker without any innate crowd control, but she's so fast, durable, and just safe overall that you're allowed to bring an offensive summoner, no flash at all on that champion, and still make those ganks happen without dying in return.
So he does have teleport. He's getting back to lane quite quickly. He's not going to lose too much experience off of that. But now as they go back, that's 2 Dorans going in the hands of MacNoon. And the AP build starting out from Wicked. Looks like they're going to use this ultimate now that he is 6 to start something bottom.
This is going to be very, very scary overall. MacNoon putting on some aggression. He does, actually, he used his summoner teleport here, MacNoon, so he's not going to be able to really roam around the map. I actually don't like that very much. As soon as Needly hits 6, she gets a giant spike in power, and with that bottom lane only being 5 and 4, that's actually a very huge relative power jump. So, you know, she really would be able to bully out these champions to make dives happen, but that's not going to be the case here. She's actually going to stay isolated in the top lane for a while and hope that Wicked won't leave either.
They did see Malphite coming around there. There's that Vision Ward in the brush. They're going to stay back here. It looks like they are waiting for the counter gank. Ray actually fires one off. They know that this fight will not go well with Unstoppable Force, so he gets away. They have a ward there. He didn't even want to deal with that situation. Sometimes you want to bait it out, Freak, but that was smart play there with the amount of strength they had.
Yeah, even though they had Watch waiting around on the wings, it was still a level disadvantage. If Kayn were 6, they'd say, sure, go for it.
Oh, and as soon as he leaves, they are going to get the kill down, and they just play the momentum of that bottom lane.
小炮什么事都无法做，小炮表示我无法为你做些什么，我没有等差，我连推都推不了。下路打得很压制的。
You've got a half-level window to jump when you've got ults and they don't, and they played that one perfectly.
MacNoon throwing a ward down at the blue bush. They're trying to really get aggressive warding down here. Yellow Pete getting a little more range on his shots, and you can see he's harassing a little bit more with that as his passive makes that range longer and longer per level up. Snoopy down bottom as they're waiting. Prepo to get back to lane. The turret's very low here. They prepped it to be taken down. The aggression from this lane is definitely to dive this turret after it's taken. And Yellow Pete has been staying there quite a bit. We saw Prey pushing him back past the turret as they were farming the minions there. So they have their own minion wave coming back up on this. So they should be safe for now. And we'll see Snoopy return to the jungle.
Yeah, ultimately, they can't aggress on Kayn. He's level 6. Sona has Crescendo and Exhaust up. There is no dive in the world that would work on these guys. As I say, they're coming to die.
哦，这个这次是秒小炮，轮流秒，龙女来，没办法，没 CC 这个追不到，反而被反打，哇，这个插一下，哇，这不可指引的 Riot 之子啊。
CLG, they know they had the numbers advantage, but they had no health. Kayn just simply sat there and was like, okay, Crescendo to the face, no problem, thanks for the burst damage, and just picked up the kill. So all the damage up that they were relying on was just gone. The exhaust came out again, and those cooldowns, those are so incredibly important as cooldowns. They were there, and they just turned that fight absolutely around. 2 kills for nothing. Najin's sword, not only are they making the aggressions right here, and then of course as they have maps, they go for the dragon, putting themselves up even farther ahead, but on top of that, they're just getting kills thrown at them as well. This is exactly what Najin's sword wants.
So that turret goes down, a little bit of a gold lead coming in, 3,000 there, Dragon goes down, and they make it 4,000.
经济差到了3，
Very big for Najin as they come into this game.
4000多了。第二局表示痛苦。Easy 很早就在奔，哦，这个买大力拜拜，把头让给死哥。哦，结果毛凯差点被炸死，差点赚双杀。有时候残血吃jungle吃一次，突然死哥大下来，他妈心惊胆战。毛凯表示靠腰，差点他妈吃三响，吃到被雷打死。
Prey playing quite aggressively as well, going past that river, no wards as the jungler comes up above him, or support rather, in the jungle. They're going to be able to get those safe wards down, going towards Dragon, making sure it's all clear, but they're going to ward Tribush. That gives them a lot of room here. Warding that Tribush allows them to see everything coming from the opponent's jungle, and not just down the river. King's going down in mid, and they say they put a ward there, so be careful.
This is really just great ward coverage overall. If you want to check down the mini-map at the bottom right corner, these are the 2 major ward spots you care about when you're the red team.
然后出现差有点多，石头出装跟我蛮像的，电多兰借一个之后开始冲火斗。
And of course, those are the other 2 major gank spots going through Tribush to lane sneak or just kind of coming down the jungle. So they've completely shut off all the rest opportunities with the exception, actually no, not even with the exception, because they've also warded their very bottom lane brush as well. So there was simply no way for Snoopy to sneak in and screw up their bottom lane. And what Najin Sword is doing, once they've killed that first turret, is they are now freezing the lane. They are refusing to push. They are letting these minions push out to their own turret. Again,
这个直接上硬抓，哇靠！要把你带到塔下，哭了。这个切得很好。这边奶大力过来。哦，目标是龙女，小炮。跳。
That is why he runs Summoner Teleport on a top laner. You're going to have so much gold and experience being stuck up there, farming minions day and night, that you will be a huge force to be reckoned with in a battle. Excellent play there, Machnoon turning that one around.
奶大支援的很及时。这个石头在等你，石头表示，妈的，有种不要走。
Really picking up the kill on the watch. That is painful. He had an Oracle, so it's another 400 gold down the drain. That's really not tracked in the scoreboard.
Machnoon completely healing that Q damage as soon as it came off. He didn't even see it hit his health bar. And he does have quite low mana here, taking a bit of damage there, puts himself in and out of bush. Not really going to help him too much. Denies vision, gives him a little bit of speed.
怎么说今天流量过大，我才会被关一整天？有这种事情，流量过大，所以要关一些台。
And he can really kite this lane.
他妈第一次听说这件事情。
Doesn't really have to use that in Cougar form. Just has to wait for the cooldown. So he's not in a terrible position, but still, Machnoon playing up to his regular aggressiveness.
He is playing this lane as perfectly as possible. You look at the minion farm. It's 52 to 108. And he's got a Phage and a Lizard buff, meaning if he ever pulls an advantage, he can just completely shut down Wicked. Just watch him try to run away. That movement speed steal from Seismic Shark lets him run from that battle. But in general, he's going to have a horribly tough time fighting Machnoon here.
Yeah, it does look like he leveled that shard up already.
还好，干他出灯笼，有什么问题？
Goes ahead and takes out a chunk of Machnoon, and Machnoon says that's enough of that situation. 964 gold.
赤脚线没有写，明明就有。然后这时候突然逆 U 了，靠腰，发现奶大压不住石头。其实也不是啊，干奶大力压石头，吃兵数1倍。 大概想要打速推吧。奶大力就算前期玩好，会这样应该没有用。
Snoopy waiting in Baron Den, knowing that Kane is kind of in that bush and he wants them to come down and ward. Little does he know he already warded. I don't think Snoopy has caught that one in front of him with his Oracle just yet. They are setting up top. They know Crepo is with Wicked now.
好不容易给的压力就这样放掉。龙女在这边干嘛？这边有2只眼呐，怎么样都会被看到啊。
More CS and minion kills. 165 now for Orianna to 182.
昨晚有什么事情发生吗？这个大绝没有撞到，不过伤害还是有起来，但是打半条，看到这个危险。大绝石头大绝密死了。哦，这时候换你中路危险。死哥整掉，反而是死哥被 gank 掉。
And that was just amazing reflexes overall. Actually, the fight might still be on. Watch taking a lot of punishment. Trey and Wicked now standing off in that lane. Snoopy with a really nice move. He knew that ward was actually in that river and simply ulted over that Baron wall, tried to flank on behind his opponents. The Unstoppable Force nearly catching Kane, but he had the reflexes to flash it away and not get harassed there. He managed to turn that fight around and make it safe. As you mentioned, Machnoon making the plays in mid lane. There's a second turret kill picked up for Najin Sword. They want to keep this pressure on. Again, they are on a clock, and the clock only has about 20 minutes left. They need to keep this game forward and really push to the point where even the late game scaling of Karthus can't keep this team alive. If you look at the farm, he's getting there. He's got 180 minions. He is still rich overall. He's containing most of his team's kills. Froggen is going to be the playmaker here for CLG EU. Watch him. He's going to be the guy to make things turn around.
That super early Bloodthirster coming in for Ezreal. 15 minutes actually when he had that. He already has about 30 stack. He does have 30 stacks on it. You see there's about 80 gold right now in the hands of Yellow Pete, and he has that BF Sword at 7. So he's got a good 700 gold to go before he can get that.
难道击倒 M5 的任务要落在韩国身上吗？
They need to keep doing this over and over and over again. The Dragon kill's good. Mid turret's got to be next. They need to keep pressing onto their opposition. There's not a lot of great wave clears here from CLG EU. They can't really do much except for Froggen and a little bit from Crepo, but Crepo's not going to be doing all that much damage to him either. It's going to take some time for them to really crush down that minion wave. And meanwhile, Najin Sword, they've got 2 healers, they've got a lot of long-range damage output. They're putting kind of all their tanky cards on watch, hoping he can scale through this game.
还好啊，往后期想的话，CLG阵容会好一点，奶大力会无力化。AD 奶大力。
Watch is going to be very, very frail throughout this game.
The jump on from Tristana, the buster shot, or rather explosive shot.
不晓得为什么 Yellow Pit 要出炮呢？为什么格雷夫飞机都被偏了吗？
Italy to get back and trade damage in his favor. Looks like he will be returning to base as well with 1,700 gold in his pocket. Gonna get some good items for him, and he'll definitely feel good in that solo lane by himself. Picking up the Sheen and starting the Zeal to his Triforce.
Now, Counterlogic Gaming Europe making a good move, pushing for that bottom turret, but the teleport from Hawk is gonna stop them. They all run away afraid. They actually had a ward seeing that Song
圣光怒摔键盘耳机，超像。
put themselves into a bad fight situation. Really what CLG wants to do is buy time by starting a turret push and then saying, oh, okay, you're showing up, cool, we'll leave. They just bought another few seconds on the map. And if they keep making moves like this,
想一波出格雷夫不是很好吗？怎么会是小炮这个选择？
keep buying that time and keep building themselves great advantages. The difficulty here is it looks like Sword knows about this golem. They actually do have a warning. They're going to make the play here.
都被看到了，3个在那边等你啊！悲剧啊！哇！宇哥直接被撞，不过这边反而控得很好，直接控在10圈内。再换，能再换吗？后援有没有上？小炮跟 EU 跟露露就在上面哦，却没有来得及支援。easy 抓狂了。
And it looks like it's now daylight savings time for Najin Sword. They've just added more time to that clock because when you realize that Tristana is super awesome late game, but only has a BF sword, look at Ezreal. Look at those 6 kills on Prey. He's going to be doing so much damage here that there's not an easy option here. You're just watching these team fights turn around.
有跳有那个有烧的时候，可以点燃那些的。 伤害最大化。
Like, yeah, triple kill, no problem. No one's needed. We'll just keep fighting you one at a time. And really, that kind of happened there. CLG EU kind of limped it one at a time. And they're just
但是被粘到，这个啊还是跑掉。距离够。
The Dragon coming up before too terribly long as well. They're going to keep that underway. Dragon 22:30. It's still a 3-minute timer to go for that.
打这种世界赛就知道哪一区跟哪一区碰撞之后，到底实力如何了。在我们看到CLG有点吃瘪了，才。
Turrets are now harder to reach. The impact of a single dragon starts to mean less and less as these teams get more gold.
出门玩，他们行程很赶，你没有能够打到冠亚，就是3天内就要滚了。圣光大概圣光那一队就已经可以回家了。
And it's typically the Wraith camp. That's usually the most frequent one there. Is they just run off to that side and pick them out and pick up a bunch of gold. Now, those Wraiths aren't worth as much gold individually as lane minions, so you have deceptively large numbers of minion kills that aren't really worth the same amount of gold each, but it still builds in these really good advantages. They're still getting a lot of gold every time. It's about 60 gold every time you clear that camp out. It's a nice chunk of money. Some even go for the Wraith camps as well and keep clearing more things out.
You see bottom lane going quite aggressive on Yellow Pete. The cleanse is used and he pretty much avoids everything there. And we can just see Najin hightail it out of there saying, wow, we just blew a lot of cooldowns and we're being closed in on. But this could be bad. EU has been on their heels in every fight as Najin turns it around seamlessly within a bush, within the open. And it looks like CLG knows this. They turn around and say that was not our engagement. But look at the split push coming now from Najin. They just leave Prey top, and that is going to be a huge split pusher. Ezreal can get that attack speed up as he hits his abilities and really crush down.
That was a really risky move because they had what was a 4v5 at the bottom half of the map.
小炮要等满等才有机会打。这个抓
Froggen in a duel with Prey, doing so much damage back to him. Can he pick this up?
Oh, he gets the heal. That may be very helpful for him. Wicked is there, however.
这个大绝子帮龙宇状况没有很好。后娘跳走，石头，哇，弹倒了，没有人可以扛住 EZ。死哥跟队伍分开，这个哭了，这下要掉巴龙。
Now up 12,000 gold, they're going to make a move for Baron. They feel strong enough that they've got what it takes to kill off every monster here before 22 minutes. CLGEU, Snoopy could attempt for a steal, but he's back in the base right now. And with Ezreal so farmed, I don't know if they quite have the damage out, but Orianna is also great at DPS and single targets. Looks like it's not even going to be an attempt by CLGEU. This will be a free Baron pickup for Najin's Sword. They have made all the right moves this game.
拯救世界任务要交给韩国队。这个推塔塔数也落后，团战也打不起来，一直落单被抓，还掉巴龙。
Grabbing up these minions, just continuously pushing out. Everything is on their side of the map except for bottom lane right now. And since that Baron objective is down, they can focus there because of Dragon, but it's just going to be hard for them to really stop anything top with a splitless bottom.
Exactly, and they're just continuing to scale as well. It's the one really big saving grace here for Najin's Sword. While a lot of their champions are mid-game focused, any attack damage carry, especially ones like Ezreal, will scale phenomenally with items. And if you compare directly those two AD carries, you only see a 60 minion kill difference, but actually Prey has about double Yellowpete's gold. They're about to duel. Watch how easy this is for Prey.
奶大力表示我一直处于领先状态，不会有55%的空窗期出现。
Complete runaway. That was a huge fight.
That was a lot of damage being dealt on both sides. That rocket jump really destroying the ground.
How much damage?
哦靠腰，这个直接在脸上打。
They didn't actually kill anyone. I can't say it.
那他没办法，不会吧？
Froggen chasing here. The
那他没办法。